Can Ripple beat the SEC? When will Ripple present new arguments in its defense? How much will XRP cost after the trial ends? We will answer these questions in today's video. In the meantime, subscribe to the channel and we're getting started. The application, filed yesterday by Layton's attorney, Carl Cecere, asks permission to petition the court for access to drafts of William Heineman's contentious speech from 2018. Layton, via her attorney, opposes a recent Securities and Exchange Commission petition to seal several papers from Heineman's address. Remember that on December 22, 2022, the SEC filed a petition to seal several documents related to Heineman's speech that were presented to support its summary judgment motion. The SEC also asked to seal some of Heineman's contentious speech materials, which Ripple cited in its argument. In response to the news, Layton opposes the SEC's move. Although the Forbes senior contributor has no financial stake in XRP or Ripple, she has published multiple opt pieces regarding the papers and their relevance in the dispute. It is worth noting that Layton is well known for her frequent op-ed pieces criticizing the SEC for misusing its regulatory authority in determining who succeeds in cryptocurrencies. Layton has published many pieces on the current Ripple litigation, which she calls the cryptocurrency trial of the century. Layton's move has elicited a variety of comments from members of the Bitcoin community. Pro-XRP lawyer John Deaton praised Cecere and Layton on Twitter for suing the court for public access to Heineman's materials. Heineman's materials are made up of emails and other SEC internal correspondence related to the writing of Heineman's contentious 2018 speech. The SEC handed up the records to Ripple in October, but the public has yet to see them. Attorney Deaton explained why the paper had not been made public last year. According to Deaton, a protective order has been issued over the papers, preventing the parties from disclosing the content. Dr. Layton asks why the SEC gave Ethereum a free pass in the contentious 2018 Bill Heineman speech, which the agency thinks is appropriate advice for the nascent sector, yet treats Ripple and XRP differently. According to the policy researcher who identifies this as a possible inconsistency in rules, the rube might be in the contentious Heineman papers. The Heineman papers pertain to emails and other files relating to the contentious speech's writing. Notably, the speech became the center of the SEC's lawsuit against Ripple at one time, with the agency initially opposing Ripple's attempts to acquire the papers, while the SEC ultimately gave over the records to Ripple in October after opposing 6 court orders to do so. The agency is now attempting to keep the materials hidden in accordance with omnibus petitions made in December. It contended once again that these discussions are protected by attorney-client privilege and that making them public would jeopardize agency officials' capacity to debate policy in the future. Notably, Dr. Layton said in her piece that the SEC's reasoning is difficult to sell, given that it claims to act as guidelines for the embryonic market. She claims that these records will reveal whether the free pass granted to Ethereum was prompted by Heineman's claimed conflict of interest, or if there is uncertainty among regulators, which would support confusion among industry players and Ripple's fair notice argument. As a result, as reported today, she has filed a petition asking the court to unseal the records. Unsurprisingly, members of the XRP community have expressed upset that Forbes seems to have removed the story. Attorney John Deaton, whose company had cited the Forbes contributor's filing, expressed surprise, saying, "Woof, Dr. Layton and Forbes have yet to react to requests for comment as of press time. However, if the Crypto Basic receives input, it will update this report." Ripple's A22, David Schwartz, has become a Twitter star. In a tweet yesterday, the Ripple executive and XRP Ledger creator made a comment about peeing in a pool, provoking the backlash. "I was assured that as long as nobody is particularly close to you in a pool full of people, nobody would know that you did," Schwartz writes. "I realize now that this only applies if you're in the pool." The crypto and XRP communities have reacted in force to the amusing tweet. A few Twitter users thought that the Ripple executive's comments may have some hidden meaning. As a consequence, efforts have been made to create ties to liquidity sources. Unfortunately, no such evident relationships seem to exist. It should be noted that, as previously stated, XRP Ledger developers are now testing a native automated market maker, AM. Schwartz believes that the AM's qualities, such as the ability to provide single-side liquidity supply, distinguish it from other comparable products. Those who thought the joke amusing but could not see any deeper meaning uploaded tales and memes in response. Nonetheless, the tweet has received appreciation from an unexpected source, Cardano developer Charles Hoskinson. It's also worth noting that Hoskinson's relationship with the XRP community is strained. Notably, he has previously clashed with the community over statements he made about the alleged Ripple settlement date and comments he made concerning the relationship between officials at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and Ethereum. Hoskinson said in December that he would no longer be making remarks on the matter due to the toxic and petty attitude of the XRP community. Furthermore, he said that he had no qualms about terminating relations with the community since XRP had no technical or financial value. Ripple to David Schwartz and Bitcoin supporter Demester recently had a Twitter dispute over whether Ethereum, ETH, was preferable than Microsoft. Miss Thief's shares. Demester initiated the debate with a tweet on the Howey test, a legal criteria for establishing whether or not an investment is a security. Demester stated that ETH meets the Howey test because it is a pooled investment in which the profits are dependent on the efforts of others. "I'm not sure I understand what you're saying," Schwartz remarked. "You assert that ETH represents a joint financial investment in a joint venture. They acquired their ETH directly from ETH, you say?" The cryptocurrency industry is keenly awaiting the conclusion of the Ripple v. Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) legal case. The case has important ramifications for how digital assets will be handled in the United States, which has piqued the public's curiosity and spurred much conjecture. In light of this, the SEC has increased its regulatory control of the crypto sector in the last week, attracting significant criticism from certain industry players who allege that the agency's approach is biased. According to the most recent update, prominent Ripple and SEC case critic James Phelan has once again called for the resignation of the regulator's head Gary Gensler. This follows the SEC's crackdown on staking while suing cryptocurrency startup Paxos over the issue of its Binance USD stablecoin. According to the regulator, the stablecoin is classed as a security and was issued in violation of the law. It is also worth mentioning that Ripple is being sued by the SEC for selling unregistered securities in the form of XRP tokens. In this sentence, John Deaton, the XRP holder's attorney in the SEC's action, deemed the securities designation deceptive. Gary Gensler and the SEC continue to concentrate on the token itself, labeling the overwhelming majority of cryptocurrencies as securities. The issue is that smart, important individuals, like Gensler, are spreading the misleading narrative that tokens are security. Deaton also praised Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong for declaring that staking services on the platform are not securities. Meanwhile, Deaton has joined another Ripple class action complaint in which investors accuse the business and its CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, of marketing XRP as an unregistered asset and demand monetary compensation for their losses. The plaintiffs have also demanded that XRP be classified as a security by the court. Deaton has filed an amicus brief in the case. The Ripple and SEC lawsuit is still being criticized, with Stuart Alderoty, Ripple's general counsel, calling it misguided. Similarly, Deaton characterized the SEC's reasoning as schizophrenics about the common enterprise concept. He further said that the court might deny summary judgment. Furthermore, although the eventual conclusion of the lawsuit is unknown, the crypto world has keenly watched the dispute between the SEC and the blockchain-based sharing platform Elbri. The SEC specifically sued Elbri for selling its LBC coins without first registering with the authority. However, the court determined that LBC tokens are only securities when sold directly. With the positive verdict for Elbri, there is a growing call for XRP to be relisted. Notably, XRP supporters have been pleading with Coinbase and Binance Us to reinstall the coin on their respective platforms. The rise in momentum behind this effort begs the issue of whether it can persuade exchanges to relist XRP. However, there is still ambiguity surrounding the SEC's continuing case, and it remains to be seen if the agency would extend the litigation over the projected March 2023 deadline for a summary decision. Despite the legal ambiguity in the United States, Ripple has maintained its growing pace in other areas of the globe.